to develop AI, what are the things I required? That is itself called components of artificial intelligence. Here, if I'm having true value, I'm going to write the result false. And if I'm having false value, I'm going to write the result true. Whatever the information we are going to gain through the movement of muscles are called motor learning. Hello to all, a warm welcome to my new session on an overview of emerging technologies. I'm Revati, faculty, Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, First Grade College, Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. In my today's session, I'm going to deal with the following topics, that is component of artificial intelligence and stages of artificial intelligence. So, dear student, in my today's session, I'm going to deal with the components of AI as well as stages of AI. So, what is AI? That is nothing but artificial intelligence. So, before going to start my today's session, let me to recall the things what I have covered in my last session of this chapter. So, I started with introduction. That is nothing but the introduction about emerging technologies. So, what are the things comes under emerging technologies? That is nothing but artificial intelligence, IoT, that is nothing but Internet of Things, big data, cloud computing as well as cyber security. Then I discussed artificial intelligence. That is nothing but what is AI. So what is AI? That is nothing but man-made cognitive, and it is called artificial intelligence. That means we are going to develop man-made cognitive or man-made artificial machines or artificial device or artificial software which is going to act like a human being. That is means it's going to mimic like human being. Then I have discussed why artificial intelligence, what's the need of artificial intelligence. Along with that, I have discussed goals of artificial intelligence. Along with that, what contributes to artificial intelligence. These are the topics I have discussed in my last session of this chapter. But in my today's session, at the beginning, I'm going to deal with components of artificial intelligence. So, what are the components of artificial intelligence? That means to develop AI, what are the things I required? That is itself called components of artificial intelligence. So, the intelligence is intangible. So, what is intangible here? That is nothing but untouchable or invisible, and it is called intelligence. And intelligence is nothing but the cognitive. So, it is man-made cognitive or man-made thinking power or thinking device or thinking machine, and it is composed of following components. There's nothing but reasoning, then learning, problem solving, perception, and linguistic intelligence. So here the artificial intelligence systems are made up of 5 components. And what are the 5 components? That is reasoning, learning, problem solving, perception, as well as linguistic intelligence. Let's see all the components one by one in detail. So what is reasoning? So here reasoning is nothing but the thinking activity or activity of thinking. So before going to take any decision, or if I want to perform any action, I want to think, then I want to react. Similarly, I'm going to instruct the machine to follow same procedure. So what is reasoning? It is nothing but the activity of thinking. So it is the set of process that enables us to provide basis for judgment, making decision as well as prediction. So what is reasoning? It is nothing but the activity of thinking. When I say it is activity of thinking, that includes judgment as well as decision making as well as predication. So what is predication here? It's nothing but we are going to imagine or we are going to predicate. That is itself called predication. And there are two types of reasoning. So here reasoning is classified into two types, that is inductive reasoning as well as deductive reasoning. So what is inductive reasoning? It's mainly based on board general statement. That means whatever the result we are going to get, that is mainly based on the board of general statement. So I'm going to take some general statement, based on that I'm going to make the prediction. So it conducts specific observation. So here we are going to follow some specific observation to make some general statement. And if I consider inductive reasoning, it starts with a general statement. So if I consider inductive reasoning, we are going to observe. After observing, I am going to make a statement. But if I consider deductive reasoning, directly I am going to start with the general statement and examines the possibility to reach the specific and logical conclusion. So directly I am going to start with the general statement as well as examine, and I am going to conclude with the specific or logical conclusion. So if I consider inductive reasoning, if all the premises, so if I consider premises, I am going to have two statements, that is nothing but true and false. If I take any statement, I am going to have the two possibility. Like when I toss the coins, I am going to have two possibility, that is tail as well as head. Similarly, if I consider any premise or any statement, I am going to have two possibility, that is true and false. In the inductive reasoning, if the premise is true, then we are going to conclude that it is false statement. Okay, so even if all the premises are true, that means all the statements are true, then in the inductive reasoning, we are going to conclude that it is false. It is just like an inverse. That means if I am having 1, I am going to write the inverse of 1, that is 0. If I am having 0, then I am going to write the inverse of 1. So here if I am having true value, I am going to write the result false. And if I am having false value, I am going to write the result true. Just inverse. So it is mainly based on the true value, and if I am having true value, what is my conclusion? That is false. And if I consider deductive reasoning, if the result is true or if the statement is true, then I am going to write the true conclusion. See the difference here? If I consider inductive reasoning, statement is true. but what is my output or what is my result? That is false statement. If I consider deductive reasoning, I'm going to have the true statement, but what is my output or what is my result? Once again, it is true. Now, let me to take simple example here. Now, see here. Neeta is a teacher. So, Neeta is a teacher. Neeta is studious. So, Neeta is teacher and she is studious. Therefore, all the teachers are studious. So, here Neeta is teacher. Neeta is studious. Therefore, all the teachers are studious. See here, Neeta is teacher. It is true statement. And Neeta is studious. It's also true statement. But what's the conclusion here? All the teachers are studious. So it is false. I cannot able to predict all the teachers are studious. So this kind of reasoning is called inductive reasoning. Now, if I consider deductive reasoning, see here, all women of age above 60 years are grandmother. That is, age above 60 are grandmother. Now, Shalini is 65 years. Now, Shalini is 65 years. That is greater than 60. Therefore, she is a grandmother. Therefore, Shalini is a grandmother. Okay, now I'm going to have this statement. If age above 60, then I'm going to call it as grandmother. And now Shalini is 65 years. Therefore, what is my conclusion? She is grandmother. So, this is my true statement and this is my true statement. And what is the conclusion? Therefore, Shalini is a grandmother. And this statement is true. So, in the deductive reasoning for true statement, true output. If I consider inductive, it is just a reverse. That means I'm having true statement. But what is my output? That is false output or false result. Then moving on to the second component, that is learning. So what is learning? So learning is nothing but the activity of gaining knowledge. So what is learning here? That is nothing but the activity of gaining knowledge. For example, think that I want to gain knowledge about artificial intelligence. And how I'm going to gain the knowledge? By watching videos, by reading, or through listening. I'm going to gain the knowledge. That's itself called learning. So, it is the activity of gaining knowledge. Suppose if I want to gather information or gain the information, then it is called learning. Skill by studying. So, how I'm going to collect the information or how I'm going to gather the knowledge? Through studying or through the practicing or being taught. So what is being taught? There is nothing but someone is going to teach me. That is called being taught or experiencing something. By experience, you're going to get the knowledge or gain the knowledge is called learning. Now tell me how I'm going to gain the knowledge? Only through studying or practicing or being taught or by the experience. So learning enhances the awareness of the subject. Suppose if I want to enhance the knowledge about the AI, then I'm going to study or I'm going to practice, or that should be taught by someone. So, what is learning? It is nothing but the activity of gaining knowledge. The ability of learning is possessed by the human. So, if I consider human being, they are going to have the ability to learn. And if I consider animals, they also ability to learn. And AI, even I can able to consider artificial intelligence machine device or software, and they must have learning capacity. Moving further, I'm going to have the type of learning. So, what is learning here? That is nothing but the ability to gain the knowledge or improve the knowledge. And there are four type of learning. At the beginning, I'm going to have the auditory learning. So, what is my first type? It is auditory learning. So, what is auditory learning? I'm going to gain the knowledge by listening and by hearing. So, it is learning by listening and hearing. For example, I can consider students learning to recorded audio lectures. If it is online class, then students are going to learn the things through recorded audio lecturer. And if I consider second type, here I am going to have episodic learning. So what is this episodic learning? Just remember the sequence. To learn by remembering sequence of events that one has witnessed or experienced, and this is linear and orderly. The best example I can able to consider here is I'm going to prepare for my exam. While preparing, I'm just going to recall the things which is happened in the class. So whatever taught in my class, I'm going to recall the events, recalling the scenario or recalling the order, and it is called episodic learning. So, to learn by remembering sequence of events that one has witnessed or experienced, and it is linear in fashion and it is orderly. And the third type of learning, it is motor learning. So what is motor learning? It is the process of gaining knowledge only by precise movement of muscles. Okay, this is the process of gaining knowledge only by precise movement of muscles. That is nothing but picking the object or picking pen or holding pen, writing or picking any other object, etc. Okay, so whatever the movement, whatever the information we are going to gain through the movement of muscles are called motor learning. And the last type of learning here is observational learning. The best example for observational learning I can able to consider small kids, and they are going to learn the things by observing their parents. So, to learn by watching and imitating others. Okay, whatever the thing we are going to gain through watching and imitating others is called observational learning. And the best example here, child tries to learn by mimicking her parents. Here, kids are going to learn the things by mimicking their parents are the example for observational learning. So, learning is classified into four types, that is auditory learning, episodic learning, motor learning, as well as observational learning. Moving further, I'm going to have the problem solving, and this is the third component of an artificial intelligence. Now, what is this problem solving? To explain this concept, let me to take simple example that I'm taking class. During my class, students are making noise. Simply they started talking. Now I want to make a decision that I want to continue the class or I want to stop the class. So it is called problem solving. Now, what is problem solving? Here it is the process in which one pursues and tries to arrive a desired solution. Now I want to take a solution that is from a present situation. Now I want to consider the present situation and I want to take some decision or solution. So what is the present situation here? If I consider the example, I'm taking class, but in my class students are making noise. So this noise itself is the present situation. Now I want to take the desired solution. That means I want to continue the class or I want to stop the class. So it's mainly based on the desired solution from the present situation by taking some path and which can be known or unknown. So problem solving includes decision making. So dear student, please remember here, whenever we are going to encounter problem solving, then we must have decision making capacity. So it is decision making which is the process of selecting best solution among all the possible solution. So decision making means what? I want to take a decision based on all the possible circumferences. So problem solving also includes decision making, which is the process of selecting the best suitable alternatives out of multiple alternatives. Now in the decision making, I'm going to have multiple alternatives. In that, I want to select particular and suitable solution, and it is itself called problem solving. Now let me to take another simple example that exams are going on. Now one student left the hall ticket. Now the invigilator want to take a decision that she or he want to allow to write the exam or not. Now based on the situation, she or he want to take the decision and it comes under problem solving. Then moving on to the next component, that is perception. So what is perception? It is nothing but the process of acquiring, intercepting, selecting and organizing sensory information. So what is perception here? Here perception is nothing but the process of acquiring. There is nothing but collecting, intercepting and selecting and organizing the sensory information. Now let me to consider the example here. If I consider self-driving car, it must have sensor. Now what is the job of the sensor? Is to acquire the information, then intercept the information, then select the information and organize the information And this kind of informations are called sensory information. So perception, presume, sensing. So here the perception is always depends on the sensing. If I consider perception in human being to sense the smell, I'm going to have nose. Similarly, if I consider artificial intelligence, machine device or software to sense the information, I'm going to have the sensor. But in humans, perception is aided by sensory organs. If I consider human being, perception is nothing but the sensory organs. But if I consider AI, then it is sensor. In the domain of AI, perception mechanism puts the data acquired by the sensor. But if I consider artificial intelligence domain, to perform perception, we are going to have the sensors. What's the job of the sensor? Sense the activity or sense the information or collect the information, and this is the fourth component of artificial intelligence. Moving further, I'm going to have the linguistic intelligence. So what is linguistic intelligence? If I consider human being, how they are going to communicate? Through oral. Now, it is one's ability to use, comprehend, and speak and write the verbal and written language. It is important in interpersonal communication. And if I consider artificial intelligence device, machine or software, they must have linguistic intelligence, because both the devices want to communicate each other. Both the devices want to share the data each other. In that time, they must have linguistic intelligence. And what is linguistic intelligence? That is nothing but the ability to use, comprehend, speak and write the verbal and written language. And it is important for all the AI. So these are the components of artificial intelligence. So what are the components of artificial intelligence here? Reasoning, learning, then linguistic intelligence, perception as well as problem solving. Moving further, I'm going to have the stages of artificial intelligence. So there are three main stages of artificial intelligence, that is artificial narrow intelligence, artificial general intelligence as well as artificial super intelligence. So what is artificial narrow intelligence? There is nothing but ANI. And what is artificial general intelligence? That is nothing but AGI. And what is artificial super intelligence? That is nothing but ASI. And these are the three stages of artificial intelligence. And let's study all three stages one by one. So at the beginning, I'm going to have artificial narrow intelligence, and it is called ANI. So it is called weak AI. Dear student, remember here, what is artificial narrow intelligence? That is nothing but the weak artificial intelligence. And all the artificial narrow intelligence is the stage of artificial intelligence involving machines that can perform only narrowly defined set of specific tasks. So, what is the meaning of narrowly defined? They are going to have certain set of data. Based on that, it's going to perform all its activity. So, It's going to perform only narrowly defined set of specific tasks. So if I consider any artificial device, they must have certain set of data, and it is responsible for performing only specific tasks, and all the specific tasks are depends on the set of defined data. So at this stage, the machine does not possess any thinking ability. And if I consider artificial narrow intelligence, the machine or software or device, they does not have any thinking capacity. They does not have their own thinking capacity, and they are going to think or they are going to act only based on narrowly defined set of data. So at this stage, the machine does not possess any thinking ability, and it just performs a set of predefined function. It's responsible for performing only the predefined set of tasks. The best example here I can able to consider Alexa, self-driving car, or Siri. So what is this Siri as well as Alexa? It's nothing but the virtual assistant. And self-driving car, these are the example for narrowly defined set of specific task or narrow intelligence. That is nothing but artificial narrow intelligence. And if I consider Siri as well as Alexa, they are going to have set of predefined data, and it is going to act and it's going to perform all the tasks based on this set of predefined data. And the best example here it is Siri, Alexa as well as self-driving car. Moving further, the second type of artificial intelligence is artificial general intelligence. It is nothing but the AGI. So here what is this G? G is nothing but general. So it is also called strong AI. It is also called strong AI, and artificial general intelligence is the stage in the evolution of artificial intelligence wherein machines will possess the ability to think. If I consider artificial general intelligence, here machines are going to have the thinking capacity or thinking power and make the decision just like a human being. If I consider the second stage, that is artificial general intelligence, it's nothing but strong intelligence, then the machines are going to have self-thinking capacity as well as self-decision-making capacity like human being. But there is no such kind of device or software or machines we are going to have till now. So there are currently no existing example of strong AI. Now, what is strong AI? The machine must have self-decision making power as well as self-thinking power like human being. And whatever the AI machine or device or software or robots we are going to have, they don't have any self-thinking power or self-decision making power. Moving further, I'm going to have the third stage, that is artificial super intelligence. That is nothing but ASI. So, the artificial super intelligence is the stage of artificial intelligence. The capability of computer will surpass human beings. So, what is the meaning of surpass here? That is nothing but exceed human beings. That means the machine must have all the capabilities more than human being. And we don't have any such kind of devices or software or any machines or any robots. In many scientific as well as friction movies, we are going to see that robots are going to rule the world, and it's not going to happen because it's movie, but in our general or in our real life it's not going to happen. So artificial super intelligence is currently a hypothetical situation and depicted in movies. In movies we can able to see artificial super intelligence, but in our real life it's not going to happen because all the artificial devices are not going to rule the world, and they cannot have more intelligent power than human being. So artificial super intelligence is the stage of artificial intelligence when the capability of computer will exceed human beings, and it's not going to happen. So these are the three stages of artificial intelligence, and we are going to have only the first artificial intelligence, that is narrowly defined set of instruction. We are having Siri, robots, self-driving car, Alexa, but it's going to perform all the activities based on predefined set of instruction or data. So dear student, what are the topic I have discussed in my today's class? It is very important from the examination point of view. In my next session, I'm going to deal with type of artificial intelligence as well as applications of artificial intelligence. So dear student, in my today's session, I started with the components of artificial intelligence. That is nothing but reasoning, learning, decision making, perception, etc. And I also discussed the stages of artificial intelligence. That is nothing but artificial narrow intelligence, artificial general intelligence, as well as artificial super intelligence. I hope in my today's session you got more information about artificial intelligence. Let's meet in the next session with some more information about artificial intelligence. Until then, keep watching and keep learning. Thank you.